What's up, guys? I'm Sue Smith, and this is Fat Housewives Murder. This is our safe space to talk about all the stuff we're into right now, like the Real Housewives, like murder stuff, and like all those shows on TLC about big people and little people. Let's do it. Okay, people. First order of business. Keith Morrison's face. Is his name Keith Morrison? You know the guy I mean, the one that hosts Discovery ID, like Keith Morrison investigates, Dateline, Keith Morrison. Or is it no, that's Chris Harrison. Anyway, his face. Okay. The guy with the silver hair. You know who I mean. Why is it so wrinkly? He looks like the Marlboro Man. Marlboro Man. That's what he looks like he's just been left out in the sun for 50 years. And then he puts bronzer on top of it, and every episode I'm just trying to figure out his face. Not that I mind it, it's just like, you don't see faces like that anymore. You know, what with filters and fillers and everything we do with our faces, you don't see a Keith Morrison face. It's amazing. I bring up Keith Morrison because I watched a show on Discovery ID on Friday called Murder in Lehigh Valley. And it's this mystery show. Okay. It's this mystery show about this woman who was killed 20 years ago. Aren't they all about a woman who was killed 20 years ago? And another woman has been in jail for it, but she says she didn't do it. And she might be in jail for the rest of her life. And she lived in North Carolina at the time. It's like, is this real? So I think it was the boyfriend. It's always the boyfriend. They blame this woman because the boyfriend's like, oh, it's this woman. It's my ex-girlfriend. She killed my current girlfriend, even though she lives in North Carolina. Here's the thing. I don't want to get political. Maybe I do. It's misogyny. That's why this guy got off. Okay, the cops come over to the guy's house, right? And the guy's like, I don't know what happened. Maybe it looks like someone broke in. I'm not really sure. And the cops were like, yeah, dude, cool. We totally believe you. And then the guy's like, it was my ex-girlfriend. She lives in North Carolina. She did it. And then they go to North Carolina. And the ex-girlfriend's like, I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I was here. I have a little baby. I love my little baby. I didn't kill nobody. And the cops are like, you're a bad lady. You're coming downtown. You're going to jail. And then there's a trial, and the prosecutor's like, you're going to jail. Meanwhile, the ex-boyfriend's like, yeah, bros. And they're all bros, and they don't believe the lady. They only believe the other white guys, because it's all white guys, and the ladies are bad. And then the lady goes to jail. The end. That's how this stuff happens. That's how women get convicted. It's because nobody believes nobody. Nobody believes women. That's what I'm saying. Believe your ladies. Believe your ladies. Okay. Speaking of which, next point of contention. Not contention. Next point of business is, what is that podcast called? Oh, it's Canadian. It's called Someone Knows Something. Sounds creepy, right? And guess what? There are 2 seasons. You can just sit down and listen to your whole workday for like 3 days, and you're like, oh, see you later, coworkers. I'm not coming to that meeting. It's so good. Okay, Someone Knows Something. There are 2 seasons. The first season, oh, yeah, it's Canadian. I mentioned that. Okay, the first season is about a little boy who disappears in Canada in like the 70s. It's sad, but I will say it's boring. So you could skip to the second season if you weren't like a total murder person, which you are. So you're going to have to listen to the first season. But anyway, the second season, oh, this is where it gets good. It's about this lady, Cheryl Shepard. She disappeared in 1998. And again, it's like, did the boyfriend do it? It's like, of course the boyfriend did it. Of course he did. That's what always happens. It's always the boyfriend. But like the mom, Odette, which is a cool name, Odette. That's a very cool name. She is convinced the ex-boyfriend did it. But then, and there's all this evidence, but there's no body. They can't charge him if there's no body. And then there's this other theory, like maybe she escaped to Florida and she just got on a plane and left, and she's not dead at all. Who knows? But I am reading this book, you guys. I am reading this book, and I know it's not TV, and I'm sorry to talk about books and literature and stuff, but in this book, it's called, I don't know, it's called something. The author is Ron Curry. This guy fakes his own death, and he makes it like he commits suicide. Well, he tries to anyway. He drives off a pier in his Jeep, and then everyone thinks he's dead, and then he realizes everyone thinks he's dead, so he goes to Egypt, and he gets a fake passport, and he lives a whole nother life. So maybe Cheryl Shepard did that. Maybe it's possible. Who knows? All I'm saying is, like, it happened in this book, so it could happen other places. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, moving on. The Real Housewives of Atlanta was on last night. Okay, you know, I love the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I just want to reiterate what Casey and Danielle say on Bitch Sesh. It's like, Sheree is a very strong woman. She's so strong. Like, we're always seeing her working out. We're seeing her build her house. We never see her have emotion. We see her witty quips. We see her divorce parties. We see her fashion lines. We don't see any vulnerability from Sheree. But last night, oh God, I felt it for Sheree. I felt it for her. That Bob, she hasn't worked through all of that, and she's been just protecting herself and trying to raise her kids for the last 10 years. That meowing is my cat. I have 2 of them. They're nice. She's just been trying to raise her kids, and I'm so glad that she encountered this situation so she didn't even get deeper with Bob, because what a fucking scumbag. Pardon my French. He's a scumbag. But yeah, I felt really bad for her. And I think divorce parties are in poor taste, and I think Kenya is an asshole. That's all I'll say about that. Okay, the fat part. I have been watching My Big Fat Fabulous Life, and I find Whitney Way Thorpe to be very entertaining. You can tell that she has studied theater in her life, which I appreciate. I need someone who is classically trained to be on my reality shows. I love that. However, my friend Karen Fian, who was a stand-up comedian, and she was on the last season of My Big Fat Fabulous Life, the very last episode, and she was like fat shaming Whitney. She's not a bad person. She's just like, that's her thing. She's very skinny, and she like talks. I accept all body sizes, all right? Please don't. I accept all body sizes. Anyway, hearing about Karen being on the show and discussing the whole process of what goes into it, how scripted it was, how heavily edited it was, how she had to go back for reshoots. I don't know if I should be telling this. I don't know if she signed an NDA and I heard this in one of my secret Facebook groups. I'm sorry, Karen. If you want to, I'll take this out. Anyway, hearing all that stuff made me be like, this show's fake. It's all fake. So I keep that in mind when I'm watching Whitney. However, I do think she always plays the victim constantly. She never, not that I'm her personal trainer or whatever, but she never takes responsibility for her own life. She just doesn't, and she should, because she's a big grown-up girl. I'm not commenting on her weight. I'm not fat shaming. I don't fat shame. No shame in the fat. I like watching the shows, okay? That's all I'm saying. I think that's going to be it for right now, for our first episode of Fat Housewives Murder. You know, if you have something that you want to talk about, this is an open forum. Just don't be mean. Feel free to tell me what you want to talk about. Here are the things I will be covering regularly. All the murder podcasts I listen to. My favorite murder. No, not Stranglers. I trailed off with Stranglers. My favorite murder. Suspect Convictions. Up and Vanished. The Accused. Someone Knows Something. Real Housewives. Bitch Sesh. Richard Simmons we could talk about. We just had the final episode. We could for sure talk about that. And then, you know, maybe I'll dabble in TLC. But please, please, bring up stuff. Bring up comments. You know, it's a safe space, open forum. Do not say that I'm ugly. And we'll be friends. Okay, bye-bye.